Mr. Speaker, thank you for your kind words, and it is good to be back, even though I've been away for longer than I had intended. I would like to pay tribute today to the 107 NHS and 29 care workers and all those who have sadly died from coronavirus. I know that the sympathies of the House are with their family and friends. And if I may, Mr. Speaker, I would like to place on the record in this House my own thanks to all the staff at St Thomas's Hospital for the brilliant care that I received. Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I will have further such meetings. Mr. Speaker, I can, and I thank my honourable friend for what he's doing to campaign for tourism in East Devon, and I can tell him that we're adding another 1.3 million to help the tourism industry in that area. Clearly, I think the priority of the government and I believe of the whole House is now to suppress this disease further as we do that, to get our economy going again and to encourage tourism across our whole country and, of course, East Devon in particular.
I now call the Leader of the Opposition, Keir Starmer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I welcome the Prime Minister back to his place and say that it's good to see him back in Parliament? I'm sure I speak for all of us when I say that. And although I've done this privately, can I congratulate him publicly with Carrie on the birth of their son? Mr. Speaker, when the Prime Minister returned to work a week ago Monday, he said that many people were looking at the apparent success of the government's approach. But yesterday we learnt, tragically, that at least 29,427 people in the UK have now lost their lives to this dreadful virus. That's now the highest number in Europe. It's the second highest in the world. That's not success, or apparent success. So can the Prime Minister tell us how on earth did it come to this?
I'm Minister.
Mr. Speaker, first of all, of course, every death is a tragedy, and he's right to draw attention to the appalling statistics, not just in this country, but of course around the world. And I think I would echo really in answer to his question what we've heard from Professor David Spiegelhalter and others, that at this stage, I don't think that international comparisons and the data is yet there to draw the conclusions that we want. What I can tell him is that at every stage as we took the decisions that we did, we were governed by one overriding principle and aim, and that was to save lives and to protect our NHS. And I believe that, of course, there will be a time to look at what decisions we took and whether we could have taken different decisions. But I have absolutely no doubt that what the people of this country want us to do now is, as I said just now, to suppress this disease, to keep suppressing this disease, and to begin the work of getting our country's economy back on its feet. And I look forward to working with him and colleagues around the House to do just that.
Keir Starmer.
Mr. Speaker, the argument that international comparisons can't really be made when the government's been using slides like this for weeks to do international comparisons just really doesn't hold water. I'm afraid that many people are concluding that the answer to my question is that the UK was slow into lockdown, slow on testing, slow on tracing, and slow on the supply of protective equipment. And I want to go to yesterday's figures that show that whilst happily in hospitals it looks as though deaths are falling, deaths in care homes continue to go up. At the press conference last night, the Deputy Chief Scientific Advisor said, and I quote, "What this shows us is that there's a real issue that we need to get to grips with in relation to what's happening in care homes." I couldn't agree more. But 12 weeks after the Health Secretary declared that we're in a health crisis, I have to ask the Prime Minister, why hasn't the government got to grips with this already?
Well, actually, Mr. Speaker, I mean, he's quite right, of course, to look at the crisis in care homes, and he's absolutely right to say that there's an epidemic going on in care homes, which is something I bitterly regret, and we've been working very hard for weeks to get it down, and a huge amount of effort has been gone into by literally tens of thousands of people to get the right PPE to care homes, to encourage workers in care homes to understand what is needed. And I can tell him actually that he's not right in what he just said about the state of the epidemic in care homes. As he looks at the figures, in the last few days there has been a palpable improvement. We must hope that that continues, and we will ensure that it does continue.